And I believe everyone can see my screen and hear me loud and clear. So without further ado, I'll kickstart with my brief today, which is to minimize business disruption with cloud technology. So first and foremost, thank you for the organizers for inviting myself and Xero to actually speak at this great event. And also thank you for all attendees for taking time off to attend this session. Time is literally money for some of you. So really appreciate you joining us today and the last 2 days. My name is Alvin. I've been with Xero for about close to 3.5 years now. I work for a company called Xero. If you haven't heard of what we are, Xero is basically a cloud accounting software. So it's 100% cloud company. You access it over your internet and via a smart device. So your laptop, your desktop, your smartphone, your smart tablet. Okay, quick background about myself. I used to, right after graduation, I used to be an external auditor with Deloitte. Okay, and somewhere in between, I joined a local SME in Singapore, and here I am in Xero in my third job. Okay. So I guess some of you here would be very curious about what Xero can do, what cloud technology can do. You know, in light of the recent events happening globally, some of us are forced, by company mandate, by our in-country strategy to actually work from home. So, with this recent events has caused us to on how we go about doing our day-to-day work arrangements. So I think a lot of you would be looking at cloud technology to actually collaborate with your colleagues, with the stakeholders to give you, the anytime, anywhere accessibility. All right. So from what I've heard with our customers, our prospective customers, the industry, the small business economy, a lot of times, more often than not, a typical SME setup or a typical medium-sized enterprise setup, they will be using an accounting software, and most of the time it would be a desktop software. Okay, for those of you who are not in the cloud. For some, that hasn't invested in a desktop software, most of the time it's using spreadsheets, so Excel. All right. So just want to clear how some of these businesses are doing their accounts, doing their bookkeeping now. All right. Moving on, always good to start off with what is Xero. So Xero is 100% cloud accounting software. Key competitive advantages of being the cloud is that there is nothing to install, there's nothing to download, there's nothing to update, and lastly, there's nothing to backup. The backup is done every 15 minutes for you. Okay, for some of you here who's not familiar with the cloud or who do not know what the cloud is, basically the cloud gives you this access whereby your data is stored over the cloud. It's something you can't see, but there are physical servers, physical storage out there. Okay, for some of you who might be thinking you haven't been using the cloud before, as long as you're using an app like WeChat, if you're using Instagram, if you're using Facebook, or if you're even using iBanking. So if any of you are banking with Maybank, CIMB, you are actually using the cloud without knowing it, because every time you log into your iBanking page or your Maybank or CIMB's mobile app, you're actually in the cloud, because these are hosted in these apps are hosted in the cloud. All right. Moving on, always good to start with our Xero's business purpose is to make life better for people in the small businesses, their advisors, and communities around the world. All right. So, Xero is built for small businesses, but we do have, listed companies using us as well, MNCs using us as well. Advisors, we do realize that in this region, especially Southeast Asia, East Asia, a lot of times small businesses might not have the bandwidth to hire an internal accountant, might not have the bandwidth to hire a finance manager, finance controller. So based on statistics that we have gathered, about 50% of small business owners outsource their books to an outsourced accountant. So Xero's platform allow you to invite your outsourced accountant, your freelance accountant into your Xero organization at no additional cost, so that they will be able to see what you see. They would be able to review on your work almost immediately in real time. All right. And lastly, communities around the world. Being hosted in the cloud, being built for the cloud, allows us to collaborate with some software out there, some applications out there. Fundamentally, Xero is an accounting software. So, you know, there are some gaps that we can't breach. There are some things that we can't fulfill, such as in Malaysia, I think most of our customers would be seeking a payroll add-on together with Xero. So payroll is something we can't do in this region. That's why we have brands out there that we work with. Some of the more popular brands that you know we are collaborated with in Malaysia would be H Easily, Telenox, Kaki Tangan, and Payroll Panda, just to name off a few. All right. So how can cloud technology help you minimize business disruption? I would touch on 3 key pillars. One would be accessibility. 2, know what's happening, and 3, tools to adapt with you. The first one, accessibility. If you think about it, the key differentiator between a desktop software, a desk-bound software versus a cloud software, all right, and this has nothing to do with Xero. A cloud software is something that tends to have a mobile app on it that you can install on your smart tablet, your smartphone. So if you're on holiday, you can actually access your mobile app to see what's going on. You know, giving you this anytime, anywhere accessibility. All right. So your data is not housed in a silo. It's not housed in a specific computer in the office, and you don't have to go. You don't have to be physically in your office in order to access your data. All right. So cloud software gives you this accessibility. Number 2, know what's happening. So cloud technology, digital apps, actually data is being updated in real time. All right, so you know what's happening in real time. You know where your money is going to, how much money you have in the bank, how much invoices is being owed to you, how much bills you need to pay in the short run. Okay, so this allows you to know what's happening. You don't have to keep going to office to enter all this data to get a detailed report and stuff like that. Thirdly, tools to adapt with you. I mentioned earlier, you know, communities that we are working with. We you know, Xero, we are connected to 700 over add-ons in our marketplace. And if you're in the business of, you know, you could be in the business of logistics, you could be in the business of F&B. On top of Xero, some other tools that you need to bring along with you to house your data, to keep your books in place might potentially be a point of sale software, might potentially be an inventory software, which I will, you know, elaborate more on the later slides. To drill in on accessibility, like I mentioned earlier, accessibility gives you this anywhere, anytime device. So all you need is a stable internet connection, okay, and a smart device. So smart device, like I mentioned earlier, would be your smartphone, smart tablet, your laptop, and your desktop. Secondly, safely and securely stored offsite. So if in the event that you know that there's a mishap, so there might be a fire, you might spill your coffee on your computer, and you know there is no downtime because your data is housed in the cloud. All you need is to find another device, and you can actually log on to your data within Xero. All right. So data is stored by us and backed up by us. And lastly, collaboration. So I mentioned earlier, because Xero is housed on this cloud platform, you can invite your stakeholders, invite your directors, invite your colleagues into your Xero organization, and you guys can be working on a file concurrently, simultaneously. All right, so you don't have to ask your colleague to, hey, could you log out because I'm logging in, for the next 5 minutes. I need you to log out. So no such thing. All of you can be working together. Someone could be raising an invoice. Someone could be going in to make a expense claim reimbursement, for example. All right, so users permission, you know, we were on the topic of collaboration. So within Xero, there are different user access, user visibility, if you may. So you can start inviting the different stakeholders to enter into your Xero organization and give them the appropriate user access so that there's segregation of duties. So someone might only have access to raising invoices, and a manager might only have access to approving invoices. So there is that hierarchy, there is that approval metrics. All right. Next, let's quickly take a look at how small businesses are currently managing their finance if they are not using a software at all, or a desktop software, a cloud software. Okay, so I mentioned earlier, you know, I used to be an auditor about 10 years ago. When I go to my client site to conduct field work. So field work can last as short as 1 week, to almost as long as 4 months. So what we do is during fieldwork is we do a lot of vouching against supporting documents. So, we go into the GL, we look at the transaction, and we vouch it against a supporting document to make sure that there is no fraudulent activity, to make sure that data has been entered correctly into Excel, into the accounting software. So back when in 2012, when I visit a client site, I think that there are a lot of paper invoices, so a lot of physical invoices. And Singapore and Malaysia's tax authorities has been very clear in terms of supporting documents. We only need to keep one copy, and that copy can either be a physical copy or an electronic copy. So I do know that a lot of customers, a lot of Malaysia SMEs are actually starting to use cloud software such as Dropbox and Google Drive to actually house their data. Snap a photo of your receipt of your invoice and put it on Dropbox, and you can actually throw away the hard copy. You don't have to keep the hard copy in a shoebox. Okay, so in terms of a small business environment not using cloud software, a lot of physical paper documents. More often than not, they're using Excel spreadsheets. They are creating macros such as VLOOKUP, VLOOKDOWN in order to generate and churn out reports. Okay, if they are using some form of desktop software, it's usually non-cloud, it's usually offline. All right, reports, calculations, formulas is very manual. You have to enter it in Excel. And lastly, report generation. Report generation is done on a monthly or quarterly basis. So you can't actually churn a report in real time or a month-to-date report, at your fingertips. Moving on, by contrast, this is how Xero is looking to change the landscape. So we have online invoicing. So you can actually start invoicing out from Xero itself. So that's one of the modules within Xero. There's online payment collection. Okay, so this is how we help you get paid faster. There is online bank reconciliation. I'm not sure if all of you know. So Xero, we have a direct API relationship with CIMB. So if your company is banking with CIMB, you might want to give Xero a shot by connecting your CIMB account to Xero. There is automated financial reporting, whereby there are 63 reports pre-built in Xero. So all you need to do to generate the report is click on the report P&L, and the report can be churned out immediately. All right, and this gives you access, data-driven access for business planning and faster access to funding from your money lenders, the banks. All right, so this is the dashboard of Xero. From here on, I'm going to exit out of my slides and actually quickly jump into my demo environment to show you how it looks like. So I'm sure most of you here would be able to see the screen and my cursor here. Okay, let me hide my bookmark. And you can see from here, I'm logging in via Google Chrome. All right, and I'm using my office Wi-Fi. Okay, so this beautiful blue screen you see here, it's what we call the Xero dashboard. And the Xero dashboard, we aim to equip you with important information for you to make smarter business decisions operationally. All right, so I want to take your eyes to the left here. You can see from here, I've connected CIMB to my account. So you see two balances here, a balance in Xero and a statement balance. This statement balance here would be my bank balances within CIMB. Okay, this balance in Xero here, for the accountants out there, balance in Xero here would be what is commonly known as GL, your general ledger balance. Okay, so the goal here today would of course be to tie 27 items so that this number ties up. Okay, moving on the right, accounts watch list. We have a watch list of the accounts I want to display. As a business owner, as a finance person, when I come into office, the first thing I log into every morning would be I want to track the accounts with higher activity. So I have 4 accounts here. This is highly customizable, and it tells me this month, month to date, my sales is 1,004. And one thing I like about Xero, it's these numbers here. You can actually click on it and it will actually redirect you into account transaction report, and it gives you this detailed breakdown of what this 1,004 is made out of. Could it be made out of 5 invoices amounting $200 each, or could it be made out of 1 invoice amounting to 1,004 each? So it's looking like a good month for my business because I haven't incurred, my salespeople haven't incurred much expenses, but I've already made about $1,400 now. Okay, moving downwards, invoices owed to you, bills you need to pay. I think by now you would have slowly noticed that we are doing away with accounting jargon such as debtors and creditors, and instead, you know, we are using very layman lingo, layman language, such as invoices owed to you and bills you need to pay, because we do understand that not everyone has an accounting degree, not everyone it's accounting trained. All right, so again here, if we look over here, invoices owed to me, there's about $10,000 worth of invoices I need to go chase. And if you look down here, bills I need to pay, there is about $10,500 worth of bills I need to pay in the short term. All right, so alarm bell should be ringing here, because I mentioned earlier, CIMB is telling me I only got 8,300 in my bank, but I need to pay off 10,005. So basically, what I need to do as a business owner, as a finance person, it's to chase off this amount here, so that I have money in my bank to pay off this amount here. All right. So right now, I want you to think back about a past accounting software you're using, or a current accounting software you're using. If you're using Excel, literally to have all this information on hand, you will need to log into your iBanking page to have this number here. You would probably need to do some VLOOKUP, VLOOK down to churn out your month-to-date aging receivables, aging creditors reports. All right. While Xero, you know, at a glance on our dashboard, we are providing you with all this value-added information for you to act upon. Okay. So that's it for dashboard. I have about 10 minutes left before I need to jump out and, you know, go over to Q&A. So I'll quickly show you one of our top feature, which is the invoice. So I can click on this plus button here and create an invoice. So this is our invoice module. All right, it's a blank canvas right now. So let's try to invoice someone now today. I'll invoice Mr. Kim. My due date, I know that my company's payment terms is 14 days. Let's hit plus 14 and hit tab. Let Xero do the hard work for us by counting it. Okay, my functional currency today is USD. I'm happy with it. Okay, that's my functional currency for demo company. Our invoice module actually talks to our inventory module. So yes, we have an inventory module within Xero. Okay, so we have 3 categories of inventory. We have tracked inventory, untracked inventory, and lastly, we have free tags. Okay, so tracked inventory will be something in my storeroom, something in my warehouse that I'm keeping a stock count for. So let's try to sell Mr. Kim some black t-shirts because he's a large guy. And you can see that this has been populated because I entered this data beforehand, and this is sitting in my inventory module. Because this is a tracked inventory, Xero's telling me I only have 5 on hand. Okay, so I can't try to do more than 5. Okay, so I'll just sell 4 today. If I do more than 5, it's negative inventory. We can't account for that. So let's try to do 4. If you're in the business of services, if you're in the business of trading, you might have a man-day rate. You might have a on-charge rate every hour. Okay, a junior associate rate, a senior associate rate. So you can enter that in as well. So you enter that as an untracked inventory. So in this case here, I'm using project management on-site daily rate. I'll use 1 quantity. I'm happy with that. Thirdly, free tags. So it's something you are going to sell, you know, perhaps my water bottle that I'm trying to sell that's sitting on my table right now. So I didn't enter that into my inventory because it's free tags. So I can leave the item field blank. I'll just type it over here. So let's sell Mr. Kim a train. I'll put 1 quantity and I'll just put 90,000. So I have so many trains, Mr. Kim might not know which train am I selling him. So let's put in the attachment. So I'll upload the file, select this file, and this file is sitting in my desktop, in my hard drive, all right? So the file has been uploaded. I'll click include invoice. I'm happy with this. I'll hit on the approve button. The approve button is green because it's a really important button. When you hit on the approve button, the double accounting journal actually happened on the background. Okay, to check on it, you can just go to the reports, like the GR report or account transaction report to check on the posted journals for this. So I'll hit approve. What next after approving? We are in a cloud company. Let's save some trees. Let's not print this out so we can email this to Mr. Kim. All right. So I just type out Mr. Kim's mailbox. And you can see from here, Xero is really smart. You know, we don't want you to be spending time on data entry. So we have built out a template for an email to you. All right. So if you want to change this, you can. But there are all this important information that we call placeholders, and I can expand that to show you how it looks like. So placeholders, we actually pull out important information such as your invoice reference number, currency being used, and invoice subtotal amount. Okay. So we are happy with this. I'm going to hit send. And before jumping into Mr. Kim's perspective, I'll hit on the preview button. And this is how it looks like. Okay, I put in some logo over here, I put in my address here, and I put in some payment advice here. Okay, if Mr. Kim were to launch this invoice using his mobile phone, this is how it looks like. Okay, without further ado, let's jump into Mr. Kim's perspective. Refresh his mailbox, and that has arrived a minute earlier at 10:52. So click on that. What you saw earlier in the email template is here. Mr. Kim will be really curious to see what has Alvin invoiced him for. He will click on this link here. And this invoice link is actually hosted and encrypted by Xero. It's just a URL. All right, and this is what he sees. Okay, Mr. Kim will be able to choose to download and save this invoice as a PDF format, CSV, and this is what we call the Xero-to-Xero network. If Mr. Kim happens to be using Xero himself, if he clicks on this button here, any incoming invoice he receives will be put into his Xero subscription as a bill. So any AR he received will be put into his Xero subscription as a AP, accounts payable. All right, and lastly, how we are helping people, how we are helping our customers get paid faster. It's we are connected to payment gateway providers such as PayPal and Stripe. So Mr. Kim can choose to pay me via PayPal. Okay, I don't have a live PayPal account. That's why this message is showing. Rest assured, if you have a PayPal account or Stripe account, and if you connect it to Xero, your customer will be redirected into a PayPal page, and all they have to enter is their credit card number, name, CCV, and they can start paying you faster instead of relying on traditional methods. All right, so that's it for the invoice. The last thing I want to show you on invoice would be in everything we do in Xero, there's this audit trail. Okay, so you can scroll down to every transaction at the bottom left, click on show history, and it shows you who came in at what time to action, to perform what activity. Okay, so just want to apologize. I'm using a US-based company. This demo environment is a US company. That's why it's showing up as PM. So if you select your time zone and company as Malaysia, you will definitely be getting AM instead of PM. Okay, one thing really cool is that when Mr. Kim opens up the invoice earlier, when he launches this, Xero actually tells me that the invoice has been viewed online. So when this invoice is due, and I could be calling him and asking him, hey, Mr. Kim, why haven't you paid me? The invoice has been due. And if Mr. Kim, tells me things like, oh, did you send me an invoice? We know for a fact that he's pulling a fast one. Okay, so that's it on invoice. Probably the last thing I want to show invoice is we have this thing called online reminders as well. So nobody likes to be a loan shark after closing a sale, after issuing an invoice to your customer. No one likes to be a loan shark. No one likes to chase for payment. So Xero, we have this thing called online invoice reminder. So blame it on Xero, blame it on technology. So when I enable this, you can start issuing. Xero will automatically email your customer this little reminder to say, hey, for this invoice is due on this date and how much is being owed to us. Okay, so yeah, so Xero will do the hard work for you. Okay, still got about 4 minutes left before Q&A. I want to quickly show you how the bank reconciliation page looks like. I mentioned earlier that we are connected to CIMB. So what happens is if you have connected your Xero account to CIMB, you get this thing called bank feeds. So basically on the left, it would be your bank statements, your bank transactions that have been put through into Xero. So what you see on your iBanking page, on your bank e-statements would be what you should see on the left here. Okay, on the right would be your transactions posted in Xero. So it's a game of match. Okay, so in this case here, it's in green because Xero is highlighting that this is a perfect match, and you can hit OK to reconcile the item. So it's 1 down, 26 more to go. All right. I'm going to close off. Hi.
Alvin, so sorry to interrupt, Alvin. You might want to start taking up the questions because there's a lot of questions.
Okay, cool. So can I quickly close off my slides in 2 minutes?
Yeah, can.
And then I'll leave the rest of the time for the questions. Okay. Okay, so some quick stats about Xero. Our customers have told us that we have reduced the number of aging debtors days from as long as 2 months to 1 month now. Okay, moving ahead, I'll try to breeze through. So some of the tools that you can adopt for your business to minimize disruption. I mentioned earlier, Xero fundamentally an accounting software. So these are the tools available on our marketplace that is integrated with us. We have PayPal, I covered that earlier. We have payroll add-ons such as HR Easily and whatnot. Okay, so it's a comprehensive ecosystem. So we are connected to CIMB in Malaysia. We have ecosystem applications for inventory, payments, invoicing, job management, and stuff like that. And before jumping into the Q&A, so the next steps, you can scan your QR code here on the left, or you can actually try to memorize that link over there, calendly.com//Alvin0. That's to book a call with me to learn more about Xero. And TV, let me jump into the questions now. So question 1.
Can you read the questions though?
Yes, I can. So let me answer the first question. I was in a text webinar a few days ago. We were told LHDN needs us to keep hard copy even though we have copy. Does LHDN recognize Xero software if we place it in the cloud? So Shane, basically when you scan a hard copy, a physical document into Xero, it works like a PDF file that is sitting on Dropbox, but this time around it will be sitting on Xero. So yes, you can actually recognize that PDF file if your auditors, your external auditors or your internal auditors insist on having a hard copy for filing purposes. From the PDF copy, you can actually print it out still. Can you show how the GST or tax is being managed on Xero? Beatrice, maybe you can schedule a call with me and I can share that more with you. Next one by Anonymous, the third one. Can Xero manage negative inventory? We usually invoice first, then only purchase from HQ. Unfortunately, no, we can't do negative inventory. So you need to have the stock on hand first before you can debit off the inventory quantity count. Next question. I browsed your website and saw your product for the legal sector. Do you have a case study demo for law firms in Malaysia? We do have litigation firms using Xero in Malaysia, but I don't think I have a specific case study. But I would suggest you can book a call with me or attend a full-fledged demo of us to see if it's a good fit for your organization. Especially so. This is a follow-up from the previous question regarding use case for law firms in Malaysia. Law firms, yes, I understand. You need to have an office account and a client trustee account. So in Xero, I would say it wouldn't be ideal to put in your trustee accounts as a current asset within Xero. So you would need probably a law practice management software or a separate practice management software to maintain your trustee accounts and your clients' accounts. Next question, how effective for these reports to be working with our existing auditor? We want to cut the cost on auditor fee, but we would like to know how the system can take some of auditor's job. So this is by an anonymous attendee. So Xero will not be replacing an auditor. It sounds like you're talking about external auditor. So an external auditor is here to conduct field work, to audit your books, perhaps because you have qualified for the threshold to be an audited company, or you might be getting listed or acquired by another parent company. That's why you need to be audited. So in terms of field work wise, Xero is not going to replace that. In terms of data storage, in terms of safekeeping of documents and stuff like that, I would say Xero allows you to maintain anything to do with finances, anything to do with accounting within Xero itself. And you can actually, as for a good example would be, you can actually pull off a transaction in Xero and accompanied by the supporting document that is sitting in our file library. Okay, so I hope that helps, because when back then when I was an external auditor, what we do a lot is we have to go into a system, example MYOB, example auto count, to actually look at the accounting transactions that have been posted, and then we would have to get the staff in the company to pull out the supporting document from a file vault or from a shoebox. Okay, so those are time wasted to pick up a specific supporting document. So within Xero, I would say that everything to do with accounting, everything to do with finance allows it to be housed within one system. Hope that answers your questions. Justine has a question. Can I summarize that as an SME using Xero, we do not need to hire any accountant to do your tax submission, even for the first time? Justine, if you have the accounting experience, you want to do tax filing yourself, you can. But if you do not have if you do not have the experience of filing your taxes and stuff like that, you would still need what we call corporate secretarial to do your tax filing, to your annual returns for you still. Hope that answers your question. Next question. Can each of the transactions view the immediate debit and credit entries without going to the GL report? Example, invoicing. No, no. So we don't have a panel, or our interface doesn't allow you to show the corresponding journals on the right-hand side or on the left-hand side. No. So you still have to pull out the GL report, and the GL report can be generated almost immediately. Can we integrate iPay88 or familiar payment gateways in your invoice email? That's by Brandon. Brandon, so we are working with this apps you mentioned in Malaysia. So we are working on it. Right now, the answer is no, but we are actually talking to all this local payment gateway service providers based in Malaysia. Next question by Michael. The pay feature you presented earlier, may I know which payment gateway Xero is already working with? The three really popular ones in Southeast Asia would be PayPal, Stripe, and lastly, the third one would be Braintree. I've heard that Braintree is really popular in among our Hong Kong and Taiwan users. Okay. Michael, how to go about your subscription model? Our subscription model, it's really simple. It's a monthly basis. Okay, and we only have 3 plans. It's $20, $30, and $40 USD. If you need multi-currency, you would need the premium plan. If you do not need multi-currency, it's the standard plan. Okay, you can go to our pricing page to check out more on the features and capabilities of each subscription plan. Richard's question, it's, are you able to integrate with other banks? So across the world, we are integrated with 208 banks. In Southeast Asia, we are only integrated with 8 banks and counting. All right, so integrating with the local banks, it's always on our wish list. When we came to Asia back in 2016, we were not integrated with a single bank at all. So moving fast forward to 2020, we are actually integrated to over 8 banks, and majority of it is in Singapore. Okay, for Malaysia right now is CIMB only, and we are always looking to work with the rest of the banks. One thing to note, if you're using a bank that's not integrated, Maybank, Public Bank, RHB, what do you need to do to get your bank statements into Xero? Very simple. Log into your iBanking page, and you should have this option to download your bank statements in QIF or CSV. I know that the most common method is PDF, but the file that Xero accepts would be QIF or CSV. Okay, so you still can bring in your transactions into Xero, but this would be a manual process. Anonymous asks, can I give specific access to each person? Example, just do bank reconciliation without any access, or just enter supplier bills? Yes, the answer is yes. You can give specific user roles access. Daniel's question, hi Alvin, I'm interested on Xero. May I know, other than account feature, what other feature does it have, like HR, sales, CRM, inventory, and so on? Please drop me an email. Daniel, so perhaps you can book a call with me by scanning your QR code or remembering that link over there. To answer your question, we do not have HR capabilities. So if you need HR for leave management, for payroll management, you will need to use an app such as Kaki Tangan, Payroll Panda. These are Malaysia startups that are doing and focusing purely on payroll and leave management. Okay, sales, yes, we have a invoice module. CRM, we have a contact we have a contact management module. So you can enter your contact cards into Xero, your supplier, your customers. And inventory, yes, we have an inventory module as well, as I showed earlier. Anonymous asks, previous day, BizStory said that they can reduce accountants' work tasks. Task it does not need accountant by using their solution. Can Xero do that? Anonymous, I just want to be completely upfront with you. So to say that Xero can completely reduce and outsource accountant work or do away with outsource accountant, I think that would be for your discretion. I'm not here to say yes or no. It's really dependent. You know, you still can have some sort of hybrid engagement or relationship with your outsource accountant, whereby they are entering data for anything to do with accounts payable, while you and your colleagues, you and your staff could be doing things for AR. AR will be invoicing, because you're invoicing your customer, you know what items to go into the invoice, so you're entering that data yourself, while you might want to second anything to do with bank reconciliation, accounts payable to your outsourced accountant. That being said, we do have you know, we are being used worldwide by more than 2.1 million businesses, and we do have a lot of customers that, you know, don't work with an outsourced accountant. So I would say that you have to answer that question on whether what are some of the engagements you might want to take up in Xero, and what are some of the things you think you find it uncomfortable to do, you find it taxing to do within the system. So I wouldn't give a concrete answer for that. Kurtson asks, hi, so sorry, but not sure. Can Alvin repeat the question for keep hard copy questions above? So Kurtson, yes, so you only need to keep a hard physical copy or an electronic copy. And even if an external auditor goes into your office, or an internal accountant goes into your office to say, hey, for filing purposes, I need to bring back a hard copy, I insist on a hard copy to bring back to the head office in Japan, for example, could you print this out for me? So the answer is yes, all you need to do is just go into the digital file library and then print it out. Click print button, and the PDF file would print like a hard copy. So that would be your physical hard copy evidence. But by way of things now in this current climate, current landscape, a lot of times you can actually vouch your supporting evidence against the electronic copy. So how some people are sending these documents to their auditors, their internal or external auditors, is they are putting in a Dropbox, they are sending it via email, or putting in Dropbox or Google Drive, and sharing the folder, sharing the file to the external auditor's email. Okay. Anonymous attendee has a question. Can I upload transactions using Excel within Xero? Example, journal, bills, invoice, bill payment. Yes, you can, but we only accept CSV. So CSV file, it's a more compressed version of Excel. All you need to do is on your Excel file, click on Save As and choose CSV. CSV, the long form would be comma separated values. Xiuling has a question. Does Xero have security feature to password lock invoices or any sensitive documents during the communication to customer via email, similar to banks' usage to our statements? So in terms of security, Xiuling, I would say there are different parts to answer. So you can turn on 2FA, which is two-factor authentication. So after you enter your username, which is your email, you enter your password, you will be prompted to enter your two-factor authentication, this 6-digit PIN that has to be verified by Google Authenticator. So that's a second layer of login to verify your credentials. There's also this thing called lock periods. So maybe you have closed off your books as of 31st March. You do not want anyone in the office to muddle with it. You can actually go into the settings and lock financial periods so that no one can actually post a backdated transaction onto your books. Anonymous has a question. Is it integrated with Maybank, Alliance Bank, and RHB? At this moment in time, no. But you can still do the import bank statements via CSV method. Coming up to the last question, can Xero do financial consolidations with intercompany eliminations? No, we do not have this capability yet, but we work with add-on. The add-on that can do this, it's called Spotlight Reporting. So if you need more information, please feel free to reach out to me. So Tavia, I think I've come to the end. Is there any questions on the chat though?
Yes, Alvin, thank you so much for answering all the questions. Let me just quickly check. If there is any more questions, do let us know. If not, then I think we can conclude the session. Alvin, is there anything else that you'd like to add on?
No, that's it from me. Thank you for the opportunity. Thanks for everyone's time for spending the last 45 minutes with me. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, Alvin. Thank you so much for joining us at SME Digital Fest 2020. Very glad to have you on board. Thank you for all the amazing sessions as well.
Thank you. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. Alvin, we have one more question. Last question.
Okay.
I mean the password security feature on the document, example invoice that is being emailed to the customer, not using the app security feature.
Siu Ling, so the answer is no. To open up an invoice, we don't have a password security feature. But to mitigate your risk of that, my answer to that, and it's not a like for like answer, it's a workaround. Earlier when I send the invoice to the stakeholder, I actually need the email address of the person. So I'll be keying in the email address of Mr. Kim so that he is the rightful recipient of the invoice. So that will be how you are mitigating the risk instead of sending it to each and every one of your customer. You actually have to manually type in that email address of your recipient. Hope that answers and helps your question.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, she said noted. So thank you so much, Alvin. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Exabytes. Grow your business online.